The movie begins with a lone fisherman out on a peaceful lake in Arizona, casting his line as he hums a familiar old tune. Suddenly, a violent earthquake shakes the entire area, causing the waters to churn. Beneath the surface, a massive crack opens up in the lakebed, creating a powerful whirlpool near the boat. As the fisherman tries to steady himself, thousands of ancient, razor-toothed piranhas begin to flood out of the newly exposed chasm. The fisherman is thrown overboard and, despite his desperate struggle, is viciously torn apart by the swarm, leaving only his ravaged remains floating in the water. Meanwhile, the small lakeside town prepares for the annual spring break chaos, as thousands of college students flock to the area for a week of wild partying. The local sheriff is overwhelmed, dealing with a mix of drunken rowdiness, recent reports of tremors, and her usual duties. Her teenage son, watching from a distance, finds himself distracted by the spring break scene and his unrequited crush on a local girl. He encounters the girl he likes. She invites him to a party, but a local bully interrupts, humiliating him. Feeling dejected, he later runs into a flashy, sleazy filmmaker in town to shoot a risk video. The filmmaker offers him a job as a location scout because of his familiarity with the lake, and the teenager reluctantly agrees. Later that night, the sheriff and her deputy receive a call about the missing fisherman. They head out to his last known location and discover his empty boat, along with his mutilated body.
Damn!
The sight is horrifying, and they discuss the possibility of closing the lake to keep people safe. At home, the sheriff orders her son to stay in and look after his younger siblings the next day. He agrees but secretly plans to sneak out and join the filmmaker's crew instead. The following day, the sheriff learns that she and her deputy must accompany a group of scientists investigating the underwater chasm caused by the recent quake. The scientists are eager to explore the new underwater terrain, hoping to find something significant. As they dive deep into the dark waters, they come across a vast cave filled with strange, unhatched eggs. Suddenly, one of the divers is bitten, blood spreading through the water. The prehistoric piranhas appear in a frenzy, attacking viciously. Attempts to rescue the divers fail, and they are brutally devoured. The remaining team members manage to capture one of the fish and rush it to a local expert, who identifies it as a species that was thought to be extinct millions of years ago. Meanwhile, the teenager has ditched his babysitting responsibilities and joined the filmmaker's crew out on the lake. His younger siblings, bored and feeling rebellious, ignore his instructions to stay home and take a canoe out on the lake. They end up stranded on a small, isolated island after losing their canoe. Desperately waving for help, they manage to catch the attention of their older brother's boat. The filmmaker, already uneasy because of the sheriff's authority and the illicit substances on board, reluctantly allows them aboard. The kids notice the piranhas swimming beneath the boat's glass bottom, and panic starts to set in. Back on the beach, the sheriff and her deputy attempt to clear the area, but their warnings fall on deaf ears as the partygoers refuse to take them seriously. Chaos erupts when the piranhas swarm the beach, tearing through the crowd and causing a mass panic. The water quickly turns red as dozens are injured or killed. Several attempts to rescue the victims are made, but the carnage continues. A daring rescue by the deputy involves wielding an outboard motor like a chainsaw, cutting through the vicious fish before he is overwhelmed and killed. Survivors scramble to higher ground, narrowly escaping the deadly onslaught. On the lake, the filmmaker, high and increasingly reckless, decides to move the boat to another location. The boat gets caught in underwater vegetation, and his efforts to free it lead to a catastrophic collision with a submerged rock. The glass bottom shatters, flooding the lower deck with water and piranhas, and the remaining crew members are thrown overboard. Most are quickly devoured by the swarming fish. The filmmaker, severely injured and missing limbs, is pulled back on board, barely alive. In a frantic call for help, the teenager contacts his mother, the sheriff, who races to the scene with one of the scientists. A tense rescue operation unfolds as the sheriff arrives. Using a tow cable, they attempt to pull everyone to safety, but the girl remains trapped below deck. One of the remaining crew members falls into the water and is torn apart by the piranhas. The sheriff's son decides to take a daring risk to save the trapped girl. He distracts the fish by throwing the mortally wounded filmmaker overboard and swims under the sinking boat with the cable. He manages to ignite a propane explosion that kills the swarming piranhas just as he and the girl are pulled to safety. Breathing a sigh of relief, the survivors believe the nightmare is finally over. However, a call comes in from the local expert who reveals a disturbing detail. The piranhas they've encountered are all juveniles. Just as they comprehend the implications, a massive, shark-sized adult piranha leaps out of the water, delivering a final, shocking attack. He begins with a news report, set 1 year after prehistoric piranhas attacked Lake Victoria. The once thriving town, dependent on tourism, has become a ghost town as the lake is now lifeless, and the survivors' fates remain unknown. At a nearby lake, farmers Clayton and Moe attempt to recover a dead cow from the water. Little do they know, piranha eggs have hatched inside the cow, and the deadly fish swarm them. Moe is devoured, leaving only his hat floating in the water, while Clayton, in a final act of defiance, bites the head off one of the piranhas before being ripped apart by the rest. Maddie, a marine biology student, returns home to find her stepfather, Chet, transforming their family water park into a seedy establishment named Big Wet, featuring an adult section with inappropriate attractions. Horrified, Maddie discovers that the adult pool is filled with topless women and a camera showing explicit footage as people get out of the pool. Meanwhile, Big Dave, an employee, is caught in a compromising situation with a pool pipe. Maddie reconnects with old acquaintances, including her ex-boyfriend Kyle, a cop, and Bari, who has secretly been in love with her for years. She also meets up with her friends Shelby and Ashley. Shelby and her boyfriend Josh go for a midnight skinny dip, and unknowingly, a piranha enters her body, leaving her confused and upset. Elsewhere, Ashley and her boyfriend Travis try to have some private time in a van, only for it to roll into the lake. Piranhas invade, attacking Travis, while Ashley barely escapes to the roof of the van, only to be met with more horror as Travis is devoured in front of her. Later, Ashley is found dead at the lake's bottom. The next day, Maddie tries to console Shelby about their missing friends. While sitting on a jetty, they are suddenly attacked by the piranhas, which break apart the wooden planks. Shelby manages to escape, and Maddie fights off one of the fish with a rock. Desperate for answers, Maddie, Kyle, and Barry visit Mr. Goodman, who reveals that the piranhas are evolving and moving through underground rivers and sewage systems between lakes. Back at the water park, Maddie checks the pipelines, but as she swims, piranhas attack her, forcing her to race to shore, barely escaping. Meanwhile, Shelby, still feeling unwell, asks Josh to have sex with her, believing it might make her feel better. However, during the act, the piranha inside her body bites Josh, forcing him to cut off part of his body in a panic. Both are hospitalized after the terrifying incident. Kyle is revealed to be a corrupt cop, accepting bribes from Chet, who has been pumping water from an underground river, which may have led to the piranha infestation at the water park. Big Wet has its grand opening, with former Deputy Fallon and his cameraman, Drew, making an appearance. Fallon, who lost his legs in the original piranha attack, now sports shotgun prosthetics. Despite his tough talk, he hesitates to enter the water until David Hasselhoff, making a cameo as a celebrity lifeguard, lightens the mood with his usual swagger. Fallon eventually faces his fears and enters the water, only to find that his titanium legs are impervious to the piranhas. A young boy is bitten, but when he approaches Hasselhoff for help, the lifeguard assumes he wants an autograph. In classic Hoff style, he rattles off his TV credits, but the boy remains unimpressed. As the piranhas begin attacking parkgoers, chaos erupts. Lifeguards and visitors alike are torn apart, and Big Dave gets a piranha stuck in an unfortunate place. Mahdi tries to shut down the water park, but Chet refuses, focusing instead on his own escape. During his getaway, Chet accidentally runs over a young girl and, moments later, is decapitated by a banner wire. His severed head lands with a splash, the water quickly turning red as the piranha devouring it within moments. Maddie and Barry, horrified by the carnage, realize they have no choice but to drain the pools if they want to stop the attack. As the water begins to disappear, Maddie is suddenly pulled under by the powerful suction, dragged closer to the monstrous piranhas. A massive one lunges toward her, its jaws wide open. But Barry dives in without hesitation, spearing the creature with his trident just before it can reach her. In the chaos, their hands clasp, and as they emerge from the water, they share a brief, tender kiss, their bond solidifying in the midst of danger. Meanwhile, Big Dave, nursing a thirst for revenge, hauls buckets of chlorine to the pool's pipes. He lights a match and watches as the entire system ignites. The explosion that follows wipes out most of the piranhas in a spectacular blast, but the force of it also sends Barry's trident flying through the air. It finds an unfortunate target, Kyle, who is instantly impaled, his lifeless body crumpling to the ground. Just when the survivors think it's over, Barry's phone rings. It's Mr. Goodman, his voice tense with alarming news. The piranhas have evolved and can now walk on land. A nearby boy, oblivious to the danger, raises his phone to take a picture, but the creature leaps at him and decapitates him in a flash. From a distance, Hasselhoff watches the scene unfold and smirks. "Little ginger moron," he mutters, strolling away as the chaos continues. Hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.